The following report contains a Zoom conversation that was filmed on December 30th, 2020.
Live from the rented NYC apartment bedroom of Deshaun, also known as Nichon 101, and the Zoom locations of the Midwest, the South, and East Coast tri-state area is the first annual Charties Awards. And here is your host Deshaun with the first category.
Song of the Year. And I want to clarify for the nominations. I wanted to make sure that an artist was nominated one time, but for Song of the Year, I'm going to give it to who the lead artist was for the first nominee, and that is Cardi B for WAP, who is Juwan, Roddy Ricch for The Box, who is Kia, Post Malone for Circles, who is Kyle, Future for Life is Good, who is Demisha, and The Weeknd for Blinding Lights.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is an intense. I'm nominating better than the Grammys nominate these motherfuckers. I'm going to start with Jawan for Cardi B's WAP, which features Megan Thee Stallion, but I want you to argue for Cardi B.
Well, that I can do that. The reason this is the song of the year, and I can say this 1000%. No matter how you feel about music, your opinions, however you venture with music lasts. What is it in the Drake that the guy said on the Drake intro? Only real bullshit is gonna last. All the other bullshit here today and gone tomorrow. People can hate on WAP. People can hate on WAP all they want. In 10, 20 years, that is the song that people are still gonna be playing. And look back, they might play it and be like, what the hell were people doing in 2020? Which we won't even have to explain like other years. But that is the song that infuriated so many people because it's so polarizing, because it's so intoxicating, because it was everywhere. Period. I rest my case.
Kia, The Box for Roddy Ricch.
The only nigga that could box out Justin Bieber. Let's get to it. So, when 2020 began, obviously we were entering a new era. We were leaving out of one, entering a new one. And The Box was already a huge hit within the hip hop community. It was already a huge hit within social media. But then it was starting to become something bigger. It was starting to become a phenomenon. And it was starting to enter those categories that very few, especially new artists, have ever really seen. I mean, something of his trajectory is something we really haven't seen in a really, really long time. He had an amazing debut album. Very, very, very solid. From top to bottom, whether it was the features or the production, it was a well qualified, like, Cali album, to the point that a lot of people didn't even know he was from California because it has such an Atlanta sound behind it. Atlanta has seen a rise, especially in hip hop. And with that sound being behind his biggest single, The Box, that gave him a leverage to go number one. And Justin Bieber, we know he's a huge pop star. We know what he's done. But the fact that he was able to box out Justin for the number one spot and get those white kids mad, rest my case. Black music is and will always be number one. And so is The Box. Period.
Kyle, Post Malone with Circles.
Yeah, okay, Post Malone with Circles. Obviously, Post Malone is one of the biggest pop rap stars at this point of all time. Every song he puts out is huge. But Circles was gigantic in the fact that it was able to hit so many different formats because of its sound. It actually really got Post out of that slightly hip hop adjacent sound. This is a pop rock song at its core. This is a song that got a Record of the Year nomination, Song of the Year nomination. Stayed in the top 10 for, I think, 1 or 2 less weeks than Blinding Lights. It was in the all-time, I think it's in the all-time Hot 100 top 10 at this point. It was a massive song. It wasn't a song that I would say caused controversy in a way that WAP did or a way that Savage Remix did, but it's a song that still owned the year without having to lift a finger because it was that digestible and that good. It's a solid song. This was really painful to argue because I couldn't care that much for the song, but I rest my case.
Demisha, for Life is Good, and you're going to argue on behalf of Future.
Alrighty, well, on Life is Good, Future did team up with one of his frequent collaborators, Drake, who kind of handled the first half of the song, kept it light, kept it fun, but then Future came in on the second half after delivering that interlude and reminded everybody that this was indeed a Future song. He got into that pocket, and Demon Time was ready to start. Future showed his lyrical abilities on the second half of Life is Good. The video, the Director X video was super cool, cameos from everybody. The video was trending when the video dropped. The song was trending when the song dropped. The song was released this year and is already 4 times platinum. And we still have a lifetime to go with this song. I feel like it is going to be one that's going to be around. Of course, when we get back outside, I do feel like the pandemic did impact the success of this song, even though it was wildly successful. This was definitely one that was going to go up in the club. This was definitely called the Bottle Girls, Pop the Champagne, Pass the Hookah. This was one of those outside songs. So with that being said, it had the success without outside. So I rest my case.
Why do we call it outside songs now? Like, it's so...
Because we can't be going outside and it's outside songs.
It is an outside song, yo. They was really making outside music and they did not know this shit was coming. It's so tragically funny. The Weeknd for Blinding Lights.
I'm ready.
Nope, she was
I was doing my research. I can't prepare this time. All right. For a song that was released in 2019, okay, at the tail end of it, yes. This song has dominated the charts. The radio wave has been number one in like 19 countries. I think it was the most streamed song on Spotify, might still be of the year or some wild thing like that. It's carried him so much like into just growing as an artist that I believe he's performing at the Super Bowl halftime, right? Like this,
yeah.
And that's like more than a year after the song was released. So I think that he carried that song, my goodness, through a year. The synths is like very electric, very futuristic, but still kind of gives you a nostalgic feel. Like that man ate, okay? And to be able to pull off an era in a current time where you can't even go outside, you can't even get turned up and feel the beat. I think he did a fabulous job, and I think that this song deserves to win this category.
Thank you. So we're going to open it up for rebuttals. I just wanted to say, whoever wins this category honestly deserves it. And I think that all of these songs should have been nominated for the Grammy Song of the Year because for me, it felt like all these songs were the songs for the culture. Like dead ass, like I heard all of these songs when I was outside working. It didn't matter. It was like if I walked into a store and it was like the store had it on a random pop radio station, all these songs would play. I heard Blinding Lights everywhere. Life is Good. A lot of like the corner boys were listening to that when it first drops and still do today. Post Malone Circles even, like run away, like what? The Box was huge. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's WAP was huge. And then for like Cardi B specifically, like she was able to pivot that song into this political movement, which I was kind of surprised about. Like Cardi B is always political, but the way she was able to capitalize on that, amazing. Like I really don't know who will win this category. If anyone has any rebuttals or anything to say for a song specifically before we start the vote, this is a tough category.
We'll also add that I believe that Blinding Lights was iHeart's like most played song as well this year. So just bring that extra stat up in here.
Oh, I also wanted to say, no, I'm going to have you guys vote, and then I'm going to tell you how Billboard has them ranked. Now, we have to remember that the Box, Circles, Life is Good, and Blinding Lights kind of all dropped at the beginning of 2020, And then like WAP kind of dropped towards the tail end of it and is still streaming very well. Like I look at Barty Update's Stan page and they're like plus 15 WAP. It's like, what? So,
Well,
you know. But it's interesting with WAP too, because I'm so sorry, Juwan, but it's interesting with WAP because I feel like Cardi B and Atlantic are doing a strategy to make sure that WAP carries into 2021 so that she's nominated in 2022 Grammys.
Cardi B could do the box, but Roddy Ricch can't do WAP. Cardi B can do Life is Good, but Future cannot do WAP. No one else could do WAP except Cardi. It wouldn't have been WAP without Cardi. So
I was waiting for you to say Cardi B could do Blinding Lights. What do you like? No, she can't.
She probably could.
Cardi B
It wouldn't be
can't
as
do
good,
Blinding
but
Lights.
she could.
I was with you. But Cardi can't do Blinding Lights. Like, I'm just thinking about you gonna be stick to your stomach or ring on Invasion of Privacy. I don't know.
It would be Blinding
girl.
Blinding Lights, the blood version. But no.
Also need to
look, Cardi. Ooh.
I think
it's like the Weeknd talking about "ooh" in the background, and she's saying "Cardi."
Big song this year. It had nothing to do with the song itself. It's one of those things where it's more of a cultural thing that causes it to be pushed more than it needs to be. Like for instance, the song "You Don't Own Me." It's not a really great song. It's not even that great in Quincy Jones's discography, but it's such a powerful song because it came out in the midst of this feminist movement. Birth control was really being pushed for the first time. Women were actually wanting jobs and wanting to be taken serious in the workplace. So it is considered a very important song. It was controversial at the time, but it was a very important song. I think WAP, it's not a great song. Even when you listen to it as a turn up type of girl, yeah, in the club when you drunk, yeah, it's good because then you go get a dick appointment, whatever. But when you're listening to it just from a sonic point of view, it's not a great song at all. But what makes it such an important song, time that we're living in, we are living in a very pro-woman, pro-feminist time. And because we are in the year of the woman, where we have Megan, we have Cardi, we have Flo Milli, we have the City Girls, we have Chloe Halle, we have Doja Cat, we have all of these women who have dominated music in hip hop, R&B, pop, rap, all over the place, right? Because we have this, when you then have a song like WAP, where you are boldly asserting your sexuality, and we're having a moment like WAP, where the rollout, which was phenomenal, the video, although it looks very cheesy, it is a profound video because you're featuring other artists. You have two mega stars, one who just had a great 2-year debut run and one who is currently in her debut run. And you have what is this moment that when we look back in 2020 will be considered that was the moment, right? So I think when we talk about WAP, it's not the song, it's the moment. But when we're talking about Blinding Lights, or when we're talking about The Box, or when we're talking about Life is Good, those were songs. Although I don't personally think Life is Good was that great. But when we're talking about certain songs, they were songs. You know what I'm saying? For that year. Whereas WAP to me is a moment.
I guess
I was saying WAP.
That's the funny thing.
Without the video, like if WAP just came out as a single, and they did one of those video coming later, WAP wouldn't have hit like that. Video on the same day.
No, I definitely agree with a lot of what Kia said. WAP just like, it is a cultural moment, but I really do honestly believe that like Cardi wants to do different things musically, and now she's facing the problem of just being stuck in a certain role, in a position. And she wants to climb out of that. Because I saw a tweet today from like a writer that I follow, and he was basically like, is the delay for Cardi's album really going to be a divorce album, or is it going to be a Stand By My Man album? And like the thing that was interesting is WAP came out, and then I think Me Gusta came out like 2 weeks later, and I fucked with Me Gusta more because Me Gusta put Cardi in such a different direction. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what she does with this second era. And like, as a Barty gang member, like, I'm happy for the success for WAP, but I haven't been playing it as much because to me, it's one of her weaker singles. Like, to me, it felt like they literally went in the studio and they said, how are we going to get grandmas in Iowa to shake their ass to my music?
Yes,
And
this kind of begs the question, right? Can you divorce cultural impact from making it the song of the year, right? Because whether it wasn't a great song or not a great song, it still was a major song of the year. And I guess
yeah,
you have to, and again, I haven't played WAP since the first week it dropped. Like, I love Cardi. I am like Gangsta Bitch Volume 1. Like, was there from the jump, right? But this is like, again, like manufactured, like there's not that greediness. There's like, she's kind of offbeat. Like, Megan was more in the pocket than she was. Like, there's so many things about the actual song that just didn't rub me right. But when you have the money and when you have a good project manager and when you have, like, you know, a large group of people behind you, like, you can roll something out that's maybe not mediocre, but just above, and still be, I don't want to say lucky, but get that kind of a kismet where Meg was having a lot going on in the media, so you got the additional boost from that as well. Like, do we factor that into it, or are we just saying like, F the cultural impact, F the timing, is this a good song stripped of it all?
I think
yeah.
the box comes in.
I think
Because the box is musically a very good song and it had the cultural moment. You had the Eat Earth thing, it had the TikTok trend. It got a song of the year now at the Grammys for a rap solo song. That's not common at all. That was really, really, really huge when I saw that happen. And it was a song that became a cultural anthem even in the middle of the protest. When I was protesting in New York City, that F12 of SWAT line was chanted across New York City at the height of the protest. So it had the culture moment thing there, but then the ear of the production, the way Roddy just comes in singing, rapping, doing all of his stuff on this one beautifully made track. Like, I actually just recast my vote to the box because it had to be done. Music hit the apex of this year in a way that I don't think there was another song that did it in both realms. I think you had songs like Blinding Lights that did it musically and WAP that did it culturally, but both of them, and for a long time, because the box dropped on the album like what, the end of last year, right? And it's what, December 30th right now. We're still talking about how great it was. It's got to be the box.
I was in the club for New Year's Eve and they were playing. It was to the point where, and I was in the club from about 10 o'clock to about 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Don't ask me how I was in there.
What? How you was in the club until 6 o'clock in the morning? Because they're kicking us out at 3:39.
No, it's a club in Jersey that was literally open till.
Don't. No, we're not going to say their secret.
But they were in the club till 6 o'clock in the morning, and okay. I remember when I first walked in, they played it, and then they had about 3 different DJs that night, and then about maybe 2 hours in, they played it again. Then they switched DJs. At midnight, they dropped it again. And then about 2 hours, like it was on a 2-hour rotation to the point that when I left out the club, they were playing it again. And that was before it even reached number 1 on Billboard.
Yeah.
So then going to Kyle's point, it was used at protests. That and Pop Smoke were used at protests. They became protest anthems to the point that writers we know were including it on their list of protest anthems. Like, it was important. That song meant a lot. And so when we're talking about songs that have a cultural, but also a musical impact, Roddy really did something with the box. And I don't think it's something that he'll ever really do again. But it's important to acknowledge because
I'm with you.
I don't know. Hold on. I'm going to bounce really quick off of Kia's point. Roddy Ricch not only had the box, he had high fashion, like he had hits.
Stallion, Start With Me.
That are cultural moments, like, yeah, like Roddy.
And they don't feel inauthentic or forced.
Yeah, he's such a chill dude.
That's the sweet spot that our other homegirl is she's kind of leaning towards that now, where it's like, yo, like it's almost too polished.
I can see the label saying you have to have Meg on there or you have to release something at this time, but I feel like the song itself was Cardi's thing. This also reminds me of sort of the 2006 to 2009 moments of music where there was songs like obviously not as explicit but like certain songs like Fergalicious, like songs that just don't like are Fergalicious, are even if we're talking about the Black Eyed Peas, what was it, Boom Boom Pow, like it's so 2008. You sound like those are not songs, those are completely for the cultural moment, like Fergalicious, that song, OMG. And I like some of those songs, but they're also like, when you hear them, you're like, why did this song exist? Because it was made in that 2006 to 2010 moment of like everyone trying to scramble to the top of like pop and B moment.
And with that being said, we're going to vote in this category, and pretty much a unanimous decision. And it's unanimous because Kia couldn't, as the rules say, like you can't vote for your own thing. With that being said, the winner by unanimous decision for Song of the Year is Roddy Ricch's The Box.
Yay! No,
yeah, unanimous, because like that was Kia's choice. So
well, Kia, what did you choose as the other? What was your second one?
Kia been voting weird, y'all.
Oh Lord.
I voted for WAP.
Kia, you kill me.
You know, I always wondered how people could like get on like a stage, but like, you know, how politicians just get up and say one thing and you're like, you do the direct opposite when it's time to vote. That is Kia.
I couldn't vote for myself. I mean, that's why I
know.
Honestly, that's why when I saw the list, I said Roddy, because I knew whatever category he was in, I could defend that 100% because he's had such an amazing year. So putting him in a category like Song of the Year, that was nothing to me. But because I couldn't choose for myself, I had to think, well, we just had a lengthy ass conversation about WAP. No, sonically it's not great, but culturally, clearly it means a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
WAP was a Song of the Year moment, though. Like all of these songs were Song of the Years, and it's regardless of our individual taste, like they all affected every demographic to me. It didn't matter how old the person was, what ethnicity, what race, whatever. They all were on top of the Billboard charts at one point. Like this was a tough category because like our artists pushed through this year to make cultural statements, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like the divisiveness even of our WAP conversation, like Meg and Cardi still did their thing at the end of the day.
The WAP combo was good, and I feel like we need to have more conversations like that in general.
Yeah, and what I loved about the WAP conversation too is just the fact that like we got perspective from Black women who were like, I wasn't feeling it. That don't represent me. And I think that's so dope because we don't get that in media. Like we don't get that as much. Like everyone wants to like align with who's hot at the moment, but sometimes we got to keep it real. And when we keep it real, trust me, the artists and their labels and their management team do observe. They don't talk and discuss with us. They try to avoid us, but they definitely be taking notes.
They be in Clubhouse. They don't be in Clubhouse by accident.
Just wanted to reveal though that the #1 song on Billboard's year-end charts was definitely Blinding Lights.
Oh, I know. I did my research.
And then it was Circles, and then it was The Box. But that's huge because, like someone said, like that's a solo rap song. The Box is #3, talking about fuck.
Melvin Swat.
Yeah, and that's the #3 song of 2020.
Before we continue, remember to hit the subscribe button below for notifications on new episodes, bonus clips, and individualized categories. And remember to follow @ChartTangent on Twitter.